In 24 BC, a messenger arrived in Rome bearing news that left Emperor Augustus speechless. His invincible army, the war machine that dominated the Mediterranean, had been humbled by an African kingdom that didn't even appear on Roman maps. This is the best-kept secret of antiquity, the story of the Kingdom of Kush, the civilization that built more pyramids than Egypt, forged steel when Europe was in the Bronze Age, and made Rome sign its first and only peace treaty with an African nation. Before we begin, please leave a like. This algorithm hides stories that defy the traditional narrative. While the pharaohs were building the pyramids of Giza, to the south a civilization was emerging that would surpass them in duration and endurance. The Kingdom of Kush flourished on the banks of the Nile for more than 1,400 years, 3 times longer than the Roman Empire. Its capital, Kerma, was home to monumental circular temples called defufas, structures unique in Africa that served as religious and administrative centers. In 2022, excavations led by the University of Geneva revealed that Kerma had an irrigation system that transformed the desert into farmland, metalworking workshops producing steel tools as early as 1700 BC, and trade that extended as far as Palestine and the heart of Africa. But it was in 730 BC that Kush would make its boldest move. Under the command of King Piye, a well-trained army marched north and conquered all of Egypt. The victory stele, discovered in Napata, details how Piye restored abandoned Egyptian temples and revived ancient religious practices. Most impressive. He ruled conquered Egypt with tolerance, incorporating local traditions rather than destroying them. When the Roman legions conquered Egypt in 30 BCE, they thought Kush would be easy prey. What they found was a military powerhouse that had mastered desert warfare tactics for centuries. In 24 BCE, the Roman prefect Petronius led a punitive expedition against Meroe, the Kushite capital. His accounts, preserved by the geographer Strabo, reveal a disastrous campaign. Desert traps with pits camouflaged with iron stakes that pierce soldiers' feet. Mounted archers, the Kushites who attacked on the move, an innovation the Romans had never encountered. Ruthless logistics, the Kushites burning their own granaries to prevent them from falling into Roman hands. The turning point came at the Battle of Dhaka, where Queen Amanirenas, a blind leader who personally commanded her troops, ambushed 3 Roman cohorts using war elephants. Survivors described the terror of seeing these gigantic beasts, with archer towers on their backs charging through the desert dust. Amanirenas not only defeated Rome on the battlefield, she humbled them at the negotiating table. When Roman envoys demanded her surrender, she appeared with the lost standard of the Legio III Cyrenaica, Roman captives dressed as slaves, and a bronze head of Augustus stolen from a temple. According to historian Cassius Dio, when the Kushite delegation arrived in Rome to negotiate peace, they brought 3 symbolic gifts: gold to show their wealth, iron to demonstrate their military power, grain, a warning that they might cut off Roman Egypt's food supply. The resulting treaty was unique. Rome paid tribute to Kush, removed trade duties, and recognized Kushite sovereignty over the gold mines of Nubia. A copy of this agreement was found in 2018, carved into the walls of the Temple of Amun in Meroe. For 2,000 years, the history of Kush was systematically erased. 19th century Egyptologists such as George Reisner dismissed Kushite artifacts as inferior imitations of Egyptian art. European museums buried monumental statues in basements. The statue of Taharqa, the Kushite pharaoh, was stored in the basement of the Louvre for 120 years. But new discoveries are rewriting this narrative. In 2011, inscriptions were discovered in Meroe, proving military victories over Rome. In 2016, DNA analysis showed that the Kushites had developed a genetic resistance to malaria. In 2023, the British Museum admitted that 80% of its Nubian collection had never been exhibited. The most telling thing? When Sudanese archaeologists began leading excavations in the 2000s, they discovered that the Kushites had a unique writing system, the still-deciphered Meroitic, precise astronomical observatories, hospitals with advanced surgical techniques. The true triumph of Kush lies in what has survived against all odds. In the Nubian mountains, blacksmiths still use smelting techniques identical to those of Meroe, knowledge passed down orally for generations. In 2019, MIT researchers were shocked to see how the ancient Kushites were able to survive the smelting of their own ancient artifacts. Nubian steel oysters. Their strength rivaled that of modern tempered steel. But the most surprising legacy lies in genetics. 38% of modern Sudanese carry variants of the HBB gene that confer resistance to malaria, an adaptation that began in the Kushite period. Language also holds secrets. Nubian, spoken today by 500,000 Nubians, preserves technical terms of metallurgy identical to those found on Meroitic tablets. And on the banks of the Nile, farmers still cultivate with a tool called a siluka, an iron hoe identical to those found in 2,000-year-old tombs. These are not mere remains, but living witnesses to a civilization that refused to disappear. And here's the most important fact. While European museums keep Kushite artifacts hidden in basements, Sudanese archaeologists are rewriting that history. Projects like Meroe Rising have catalogued 12,000 previously unstudied objects, each a piece of this forgotten puzzle. This rediscovery is only possible because people like you support content that challenges the traditional narrative. In 2024, the Sudanese National Museum made an extraordinary request: the return of the head of Augustus that Amanirenas stole 2,000 years ago. This object, now in the British Museum, is not just a war trophy. It is a symbol of how history is written. Every like on this video sends a clear message. The public demands full stories, not censored versions. Every subscription to the channel strengthens this recovery work, and every share spreads a truth that powerful institutions have tried to erase for centuries. Kush was a superpower that humbled Rome and revolutionized metallurgy, medicine, and astronomy. Subscribe now and hit the bell. This history is being rewritten right now, and you'll have a front row seat. Together, we are unearthing not just artifacts, but the right to know our full past.